Yeah, looks good.
Hi, my name is Vince Ball. I'm with Crothall Laundry Services. Jim Reiser asked me if I'd be so kind to answer a couple of questions about, I guess, our industries in general, our collaboration, some of the do's and don'ts, the pros and cons, and some of the alignment that hopefully we have, and some of the areas that we can do better in. So, with that said, again, he asked for some veterans, and this is my 40th year in the industry. I've been with 2 or 3 companies, and feel very fortunate to be a long-term laundry vet, and actually started out in the 70s with a little white coat, making my own alkali and making caustic and silicate into metasilicate, orthosilicate, and not that they taught me a whole lot, but I learned a whole lot on the School of Hard Knocks. So with that being said, the first question that was posed to me is, what do you look for when selecting a chemical supplier? And what I did is opposed to my answer being just from my experience, I thought it'd be important to reach out to some of our engineers and some of our local, what we call unit directors or general managers, and get some of their replies. And the consensus really was experience in the healthcare industry was number one. There are some compounders and there are some providers out there that may be strong in other industries, but we think experience in the healthcare industry, especially the last 10 to 15 years, is really imperative to know what the expectations are from our customers, some of the challenges we have in our business. So that was number one. Experience and technical expertise of our reps is absolutely key. We have now moved more into the electronics world, so we really need to have troubleshooting techniques and really understand the controllers, the delivery systems that you all provide or that we have. So I think that was imperative. And then number 3 was depth of resources. I thought that was interesting that a lot of my managers were concerned that it wasn't just a compounder, that we had a national player that aligned with all the different geographies and the challenges we had. So I thought depth of resources was an interesting, and I concur with that. By depth of resources, I see some comments here: chemical delivery capabilities with minimal oversight. When a rep is there, let's say it's a 10 million pound account and they're there once to twice a month, or a 20 million pound account and they're there every week. Well, when that rep leaves, we have to have the knowledge, the training, and the ability to ensure that our delivery systems are working as they were when the rep left. So, and then maybe again a couple of weeks or a month before that rep comes in again, and there's a whole lot of poundage that's going through the plant that we need to be able to make sure that we have that. And so I would say those 3 is, if you noticed, I didn't say cost. That's not the first thing that any of the managers indicated that would be in the top 3. We think that cost and the value that our players bring to the table is something that we work out. The more value that we're shown, then more opportunity there is for, I think a fair financial agreement. So I thought that was interesting. Actually, one of the comments from the field was that competitive pricing, but overall value was more imperative. So I thought that was an interesting answer. What do you value about Ecolab? The first answer that I got was domain knowledge. I mean, they understand what our challenges are. We're not educating our suppliers. Ecolab brings to the table a wealth of both knowledge from the technical reps or the service reps, but actually, nationally they have the R&D background, that the other players don't. So that is important to our players. National resources and really a national player that can support a national player was another one of the comments that I thought was interesting. Next question is what could make you decide to leave Ecolab? That was early up in the list, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Usually that would be the 10th of 10 questions, but that was the third, and we had 4 responses from the field. Number one that echoed quite strongly was if the trust relationship that we have with our suppliers, whether it's nationally or whether it's locally, if that trust relationship went south for whatever reason, that would be a major concern. Like our customers, like our associates, there's a trust relationship that has to be there, and when you lose that trust relationship in any relationship, that can be a detriment. Number 2 on the list was lack of response. If once a week, once a month, once a quarter, there's a concern. Our teams do not want to hear, well, our rep's not available. He's working on an install in another state. Can we send someone else? That becomes a concern going forward. So lack of response. I've got a reduction in competitiveness, and I think what the response with that is right now we have worked together nationally to get what we think is excellent value at a competitive price. And should there be a scenario there where there was a competitor that was, and I'm going to speak frankly, that was hungry for business and could do it at X percent, less than is currently done, that would be something we'd look at. I have a rule of thumb: if it's a 5% difference, don't waste my time. If I'm happy with who I'm with, if it's 10%, I may look, and if it's 15% or more, I may have to validate why I wouldn't switch. That my current supplier gives me that much more value than I had. Hope that answers your question. Any other insight on why one of our plants, or hopefully not more, but one of our plants would decide to leave? That really is the 3: trust, lack of response, reduction in competitiveness. And the only other thing that came up is if for some reason there was competitive innovation. If someone or some group had, maybe it's a ultra green technology, or maybe it was a delivery system that for some reason had improved proof of delivery or had improved accuracy with less oversight. That could be a reason to evaluate a change. Next question ahead: what does Ecolab do very well, or what do you see as Ecolab's main strengths? Good question. I would say technical expertise is number 1. Depth of resources, again, number 2. I got a fragmented response from the field in the Southeast with regards to delivery systems, and I thought that was interesting because I would have thought delivery systems and where we're collaborating for improvements there would have been a higher up the ladder or totem pole with regards to satisfaction. We evidently have a couple of facilities that maybe are on the list to improve the delivery system. So that was interesting. So that's what we do very well, is, in my opinion, is technical expertise, the response. You all have a layered service level. If something gets to my level, then I know that I have someone on speed dial that I can call. And like our customers, if something gets to my level, we expect what I refer to as a rapid response. So if something got to my superior, then I would know that we need to sit and find out if there's a systemic concern or if it's just a locale or whatever. So that's where we're at with that question. What Ecolab should improve, or what do you see as Ecolab's main weaknesses? I had listed regional communications and response, not only to what we do every day, and I think where we're going with the regional communications is, as Crothall has grown rapidly, maybe not exponentially, but rapidly over the last 10 years, I think there's an opportunity for the Ecolab to have more of a national, regional, local structure. It could be just an organizational change, same boxes, different lines or different dotted lines, so that I know I would feel comfortable having 8-10 plants in the southeast, that I would know my reps, and then not just have a national person that I would want to contact, but a regional person that I would meet on a quarterly basis, so that, and I'm going to use the phrase autonomy but auditing, and kind of like the old trust but verify. So I like to know that there's that autonomy, and the challenges at one plant could be significantly different than another plant because of obviously equipment, but it could be even customer base and type of product that we're dealing with. So from I'd like a regional support in addition to the current national and the local. But that's a personal response to improvements. Where do you see the biggest areas of improvement for your laundry? That's a great question. The biggest areas of improvement for your laundry. We as an organization have been, I guess, capital intense. I happen to be in the Rome, Georgia plant, and we put in a new Milner post-flow tunnel, and we have one that's coming in next month. We're matching up very well from a capital perspective, what our requirements are from a volume arena, and we see a lot of growth in our tunnel, in our funnel. Sorry, and we think that we're matching up well to that. I guess we'd all like to be visionaries, and when you have visionaries, you start thinking of labor concerns. And I'm not going to be an economist, but as the economy continues to pick up, we are struggling hiring good engineers and truck drivers and those type of things. So those are areas that we need to stay out in front of, to make sure that I happen to be on a conference call this morning when we're short 3 engineers, and it's difficult to get those in. So we as a company are going to continue to look at those technical or semi-technical areas and invest in those. And I think that's going to help us as a company. What changes do you expect in laundries during the next years? Which is a great question. And the first thing that came to mind is environmental issues. Those we know today, those that are on horizon, and those that we see over the next decade. When we say environmental issues, first thing that comes to mind is water. We are working to the old days of 3 and 4 gallons per pound are now down to 1.5 gallons a pound, and for the post flows they're 1/2 gallon a pound. But we also have to balance quality. We have to balance our effluent and VODs and CODs, and the EPA, depending on the administration, can be very active in those areas, and we're seeing almost what I would call punitive concerns from places like the EPA and OSHA and some other things. So we have to be cognizant of that. We have to be out in front of that, and we have to work with our partners like Ecolab to make sure that what your experts on, that you assist us. I'll give you an example of global harmonization system. I've been in some of the plants where you have almost a 5-foot poster that has the pictograms on that show the chemicals and different levels and responses to it. I think those type of things really help us as an organization. We're actually dovetailing off of that on some of our PPE equipment that we need to provide for our employees. And then I think I've got one more question. I hope I've answered your questions, is what kind of innovation you'd like to see from Ecolab. I would say similar to the Dober, the old Dober, and now Spindle, that we look like we tentatively have approval to go with Spindle in a couple more plants. And the dashboard, the communications, that simplification of the basics from a visual perspective helps us. It helps us as an organization. We live in a what I call a pulse point world. So when I walk into a plant at 8 in the morning, by 8:15, I can take the pulse of that plant. It could be hours, it could be POH. here at the Rome plant have a check system on our delivery system. So it's a go or no go. And what I mean by that is we have the startup at 4 a.m. and the technical rep here has set up a system so that whoever's opening up the plant can go to the delivery system and ensure that we're getting alkali and caustic or alkali and Syndet and sour and softener and all the other products that we need. And those are the type of simplification processes and process management that I think could really help us as we collaborate as two organizations.
Vinny,
how'd I do?
You did fantastic, Vinny, and I appreciate it so much. Your insight will be valuable to our team.
Thank you. And if
Thank you, sir.
Need another run or some more insight, feel free.
Thank you, Vinny.
Thank you.